Hi, I'm Mike Papantonio, and this is America's Lawyer. Members of Congress are heading for exits in huge numbers we haven't seen before, and most of them say that the dysfunction in the House and the dysfunction of politics in general is too much to deal with. Elon Musk, well, he's filed a lawsuit against Media Matters alleging that the group deceptively manipulated algorithms to make it look like advertisers were putting content next to anti-Semitic content. We'll see how that ends up. All that and more is coming up. Don't go anywhere. America's Lawyer starts right now. The number of U.S. representatives announcing their retirement is growing by the week, and most of them are saying the same thing. And that is that Congress is too dysfunctional to get anything done. Most Americans would probably agree with that statement. I have Ring of Fire's Farron Cousins with me to talk about it. No surprise here, it's an exodus by both Republicans and Democrats. So it's hard, although I looked at this article, New York Times tries to say, well, it's just the House. Hell no, it's not just the House. You have Democrats leaving because they're saying that they haven't been able to get anything done for decades.
Yeah, and it is very interesting here with both the Republicans and the Democrats finally coming to the same conclusion of what the hell are we doing?
Right.
Why am I here? 36 members have already said, I am leaving. And that doesn't even include George Santos, who is probably
we should have left him a long time ago.
Yeah. So we have all of these people who say, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
But to me, what's kind of funny about it is the fact that these folks don't see the irony of every one of them saying there's too much dysfunction, not realizing that you're part of it.
Yeah.
You are part of this dysfunction and this system. So don't sit there and pretend like it's everybody else but you.
They're concluding the same thing that you and I have concluded a lot of times. You've been asked to get in politics. I've been asked to get in politics so many times. And my response is same as yours. Is we get a hell of a lot more done doing what we do as a lawyer and as TV analyst than you do in politics. It's a friggin' waste of time. Yeah. I mean, really. But 36. Now, okay, how does that play itself out? I don't think it's clear whether that changes anything in the next cycle because it's so close, right? Yeah. What do you think?
No, I think you're right. And a lot of these folks are from either safe red districts or safe blue districts, so they know the next man up, next woman up is going to
win.
But you know, this kind of goes back to what you and I had talked about, weeks ago, in the fact that everything has become so tribal. There is no more reaching across the aisle. Let's work together on this legislation. I mean, actually, I think one of the last times we saw real bipartisanship was actually Matt Gaetz teaming up with AOC on legislation. I forget it it slips my mind what the legislation was, but they were working together on something kind of big. And other than that, though, the fact that we can point to one time it's happened shows us that it's not happening enough.
Isn't it the dumbing down of our culture in general? I mean, name one statesman. Okay, give me a statesman where you would say, well, this is a statesman. I think Blumenthal, frankly. I think, that's a statesman. How many of those can you name that are up there? It used to be you could name real statesmen. I mean, their goal was to make something happen. Their goal was to get along. Ted Kennedy, one of the greatest statesmen of all times that could reach across the aisle. He'd have all kinds of social interactions with them. Those days are gone. It's so dysfunctional because part of it is the dumbing down of America. Yeah. I mean, that's really, read between, it's the dumbing down of America. Everything is like an MMA fight right now.
It really is, because it's all about, can I get a zinger across to this person during this hearing? Can I go viral for this statement I'm about to make? Are people going to laugh and cheer when I say this one-liner?
Did social media do that, or is that an impact, you think?
I think it played a huge role in this, because we really do, we see these lawmakers go up there and they'll say their one sentence and they'll wait proudly to see the reaction. They know what they're doing now. This is no longer about let's have real policy discussions. This is I'm going to get on CNN because I just made fun of this lawmaker.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
And it's like, it's Matt Gaetz' effort to become a TV personality, I suppose. On the Republican side, I thought Mitt Romney, whether you agree with him or not, he was a bit of a statesman. You know, he was elegant in the way that he presented an argument. That's so behind us now. I mean, people commenting, please tell us who are the statesmen out there that you think are really, truly statesmen in the same blend as, say, John F. Kennedy, or any of those folks, and they just don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they just don't exist. And because of that, people are leaving, and you can't blame them. And that's why when they say to you, I know they've always said, run, would you run, would you run? They've said the same thing to me for decades. I said, hell no. We get so much more done as a citizen than we would in Washington, D.C. or Tallahassee.
Yeah.
The Pentagon just failed its 6th financial audit in a row, and they can't account for billions. And they've spent, they don't even know where it is. This comes as President Biden is prepared to ask for nearly $900 billion for the Pentagon. You know what really chaps me about this is their attitude. Their attitude is, so what? They called their last audit a success, even though it showed that it lost billions of dollars. That was a big success for us. I can't even get my arms around it. Oh, here it is. I got to read this, and I want you to take over. Sabrina Singh is with the Pentagon. She's press secretary. She says, we keep getting better and better at it. Yeah, better and better at losing money, at stealing money, at leaving money all over the world that we don't even know. What about the taxpayer who has to pay for that? And they're just unaccountable.
But they're getting better and better at it.
They're getting better.
We lost less money this year, I guess, than we had the year before. But we don't even know that because they didn't exactly say. But this is becoming a yearly tradition at this point for this $900 billion organization, extension of the defense industry, that they just don't know where their money's going. Or it's either they don't know or they don't want us to know. And that's the part of it that we really need to be able to get answers to. And I'm afraid we'll never get those answers. Are we being run by these absolute buffoons?
They're total.
Or is it
it's the weapons. There's the weapons industry part of it. You know, they're all making these lateral moves. I'm going to leave the Pentagon, and then I'm going to go to work for Boeing. I'm going to leave the Pentagon and go to work for Raytheon. That's what this is all about. Yeah. So they spread money out to the weapons folks, because once you give them $900 billion frigging dollars, you lose control over it. You know, this taxpayer, we don't have any say at that point, and they do whatever they want. Listen to this. The attitude is what absolutely kills me. Here's a reporter asked the Pentagon spokesman, what the hell? You know, and they say, her name is Singh, said that she can't predict the future of when they're going to make a good audit or when there's going to be an audit that actually shows they haven't lost billions of dollars. But she said, I'll let you know when it happens. That's their attitude. Now, can you imagine such disregard for American taxpayers and American voters to where you become such an institution that Eisenhower warned us about so long ago, and John F. Kennedy even warned us about it so long ago? And he says it's gotten so damn out of control that we just give them money for whatever they want, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you had those kind of comments coming from the leader of the FDA, the leader of the Department of Education, or OSHA, any other government department, it's going to be all over the national news with this person treating reporters like crap, acting like losing billions is no big deal.
Like it's a joke.
But because it's the Pentagon, the only place you're going to find it, The Intercept, obviously, is where this came from.
Right.
But you're not seeing this all over MSNBC or CNN or Fox.
And tell them why. Tell them why.
Because the people taking this money are their advertisers.
That's right. And not only that, they're not only the advertisers, but MSNBC understands that if we can give them access, if we can have all these Pentagon talking heads on our show and let them spout their propaganda, that access is going to end up with advertising dollars. Clearly, the Pentagon understands. If we and the weapons industry understands. if we spread that money out with MSNBC, CNN, and Fox, then we're going to have every jugglehead that wants to talk military propaganda is going to be allowed on the show. And it's just shameless, man. I mean, it's absolutely shameless. But the attitude is like that because there is no consequence.
Yeah.
What are the consequences? When's the last time there's been any consequence for saying, oh, by the way, we don't know where almost $1 trillion is, but we'll let you know when we find out.
Yeah, go ahead and write your check for $900 billion for us for next year, too.
And Biden says, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Well, and every member of Congress
says,
except
yeah.
Bernie, he'll speak out about it. But listen, it's not just about, by the way, getting the Pentagon officials onto the air. We've got active war zones around the world right now, and they get to send their reporters with that Pentagon protection.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they don't want to lose access to having that reporter on the ground in
The
Ukraine.
embedded reporter, as if they give
Exactly.
it. And right now, it's the only thing keeping CNN alive.
It is.
I mean, Zucker destroyed CNN to the point to where after a war's over, they're going to go the way of CNN, which is a dismal future. But it's a sad thing when the attitude is, well, you know, yeah, we lost $900 billion and we won't pass an audit, but hey, we'll let you know when we can pass one. What kind of freaking attitude is that, man? Elon Musk, formerly known as Twitter, has filed a lawsuit against Media Matters over a report that the group put out that claimed that advertisers were having their ads show up next to anti-Semitic content. Musk claims the Media Matters manipulated the algorithms. We've seen them do it before. We've seen everybody do that. This is an interesting lawsuit. Let me just tell you something. If what he's saying here, if the allegations are correct, he could put Media Matters out of business. Now, the only saving grace in this is what you found and what I found. If Media Matters wants to win this lawsuit, this kills it, doesn't it? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, you've got Elon Musk that has also said, yeah, you know, basically, it happens.
Yeah.
You know, that's not exactly the kind of thing you want to do to bolster your point here.
No.
But, you know, to me, I think one of the biggest things is that they're making this claim that Media Matters has manipulated this or that it's showing up because they only follow the bad people. So obviously the ads will show up there. But that doesn't change the fact that the ads showed up there.
Yeah.
What Media Matters showed, as far as I can tell, was not false, right? They have not doctored these images. But if these ads from these individuals do in fact show up next to these neo-Nazis account, because, you know, they're all over social media on every account.
Yeah.
You're going to find your
Yeah.
neo-Nazis, your racists,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But the way the ads now work on Twitter, it does put them there if that's what you follow.
Yeah,
So
let me just speak as a lawyer, okay? If I have this fact situation and I find that there's 30 accounts and they've taken those 30 accounts and bundled them up to make it look like this is a broad, expansive effort on Musk's, on his part to promote anti-Semitism, and they find out, they can show, well, there were decisions. They're called depositions when you start asking these questions. And you start asking those questions, well, were you told to take this and move it over here? Were you told to take these 30 and bunch them up and put them all collectively together? That's a problem. Here's the issue, though. Even with that, if Elon Musk, there was a tweet that went out, it says that Jews promoted hatred against whites. That was one of the tweets, apparently. And the response was, from him, you've said the actual truth. That's kind of a deal killer where it comes to his aggressive attack on Media Matters. But if I can see this case being won. That's all I'm trying to tell you. If the depositions go right and it's found that this organization set out to discredit Elon Musk and discredit Twitter by gaming the system, it's a tough go. But that statement by Elon Musk, I think it's a killer.
well, see, I think it's a little, you know, obviously a million bajillion times more about law than I do, clearly. I think it's a little flimsy, but I agree with you that they have a good chance of winning, and that's due to venue.
Texas.
Yeah, that's
Good point.
That
Good
is a
point.
huge thing working against
Yeah.
Media Matters on
Yeah.
this. So, And you have the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has now, said we're going to launch an investigation.
Yeah.
So you're already creating this public perception in Texas that this group has done something wrong. Well, and you get your jury, you get your Republican judge.
Well, you've got a Republican appeals court that a consumer doesn't have a chance there. They would love to get a case like this.
Yeah.
You see.
So
and no, that is a really good point, because if you look at it, the headquarters is one is California, and I'm trying to think of where else. Nevada, yeah, San Francisco and Nevada are two other headquarters. But they did some forum shopping, and they said, where could we make the best case? A jury in Texas could really put these folks out of business. But I don't know how you get around Elon Musk saying, yeah, I kind of agree with the idea. It's his agreement that Jews hate white people.
I mean, it got so bad to the point he actually just had to travel over there
to Israel.
To try to act, hey, look at me, I'm such a friendly guy. But the venue, to me, it's a lot, honestly. When you look at venues, I talk about it a lot. The Trump documents case.
Yes.
That's a slam dunk case.
Yes.
But because of where you are, you're not going to win.
Yeah. Well, and then the other side of it is he can't. I mean, the state and prosecutors can't lose in New York. They can't lose in Washington, D.C.
So,
the venue shopping is a big part of this. I'm glad you pointed that out. White-collar criminal prosecutions from President Biden's Justice Department are close to being at an all-time low, the worst in 50 years, since Attorney General Merrick Garland refuses to prosecute corporate criminals. Well, there's a reason for it. He used to defend them. He was part of the process. He made his living defending corporate criminals dressed up in suits with Armani watches and driving up in Bentleys. So there's no such thing as throwing a corporate criminal in prison anymore. I mean, look at the opioid case, man. They killed 150 people a day. I handled the civil side of that case. I took the depositions. We gave all that material to the Justice Department. They had it. They've made movies about it. They've done all kinds of specials about it. But the Justice Department sits there and won't do a damn thing. They're dysfunctional. They're useless. And all they're looking for is low-hanging fruit.
Right. And we're talking about fewer than 100 white-collar criminal prosecutions from the DOJ every year that Biden has now been in office, which is almost identical to Donald Trump. So we've seen no difference, whether it's a Democrat in the White House, a Republican in the White House. We've been going down steadily since the year 2000. And there was a time when it didn't matter if it was a Republican or Democrat. They did prosecute white-collar criminals.
How about Ronald Reagan on the S&L crisis? 800 bankers were prosecuted. 800. That hasn't been done by Democrat or Republican since. And these people are, I mean, we're talking about mass murder. I mean, we're talking about manslaughter. Look, I could go on whether it's with PFAS. How about the PFAS case? I tried that case. I know what it's about. I handled the opioid case. I saw the documents. I saw exactly what they did. PFAS, they knew about it decades ago. They knew it was causing cancer. The people who were responsible for those decisions were never prosecuted. And the people that continue to make it happen are not being prosecuted. 12 pharma cases, I promise you. I've handled 12 pharmaceutical cases I've handled many more, 40 or 50, but out of 12, the documents were so strong, we would send them on, hey, you need to look at this because clinical data has been phonied up. They lied to the FDA. They made all this stuff up. This is fraud, and it's criminal fraud, and people lost their lives because of it. You know what the Department of Justice has done? Zero.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then they'll throw a fine at a company if it's something that's so horrific you just can't get around it. But the fine will always be much less than what they made off of the crime.
Some cat in a bow tie shows up. Today we stopped whatever. How about FinFin? FinFin killed thousands of people. Nobody prosecuted. How about the blood virus case that I handled? You know, Factor VIII.
Yeah.
Factor VIII was a drug. You were with me. We handled. You're working with me then, right? Yeah.
A little after that.
A little after that. Okay.
But not long.
Factor VIII was for hemophiliacs. And it was supposed to help a hemophiliac when they were having a bleed problem. It was supposed to clot the blood. Well, the companies knew that it was infected with HIV. They knew there was an HIV infection, and we got it off the market in the U.S., and you know what they did with it? They sent it all over the world. People died from AIDS all over the world because of these pharmaceutical companies that said, hey, we can get away with it. You know how many people were prosecuted in the U.S.? 0, okay? So now this administration says, hey, we're going to allow you to self-report. I want you to talk about this. Talk about the declination. Talk about declination.
What this is the administration basically cut a deal with all of corporate America.
Criminals.
Yeah, and they said, listen, we will not prosecute you as long as you are going to engage in this, self-reporting. So when you do something bad, when you break the law, come tell us you broke the law and everything will be forgiven.
So they say, here it is. They say there's something called a declination we're going to give you. Only problem is the declination is hidden from the public. In other words, they declared we did this awful thing.
Yeah.
How about HSBC? They were involved. I've got a new book coming out about it. It comes out in February. I think it's a strong book. It tells the story. But the bank knew they were washing money for drug cartels and terrorists, okay? They took the money, made $100 billion, and they knew American contractors were being killed, soldiers were being killed, it was being used for terrorism all over the world, that money that was being washed. They signed a document saying, yes, we did these things. Eric Holder, under Obama, put nobody in prison. Nobody went to prison. And so at what point do you say, you can't change that? It's a culture. It's a criminal culture that goes from Wall Street to the pharma industry, the weapons industry, you name it. And nobody goes to prison anymore. And so, of course, if they have to pay a fine, I think in the HSBC case, they paid a $1.6 billion fine. Well, hell, they made $100 billion. It should cost of doing business.
Right.
When does the American public become so outraged that they do something about it? I thought after the opioid crisis, after they saw that these companies had killed 150 people a day, there would be public outrage about it. After movie's coming out, there'd be public outrage.
I think
Hell no, there's not. It's like one hand clapping,
I think the public lost all faith in it after the financial crisis of 2007, 2008. Obama comes in like,
I'm going to do something, by God.
And everybody thought, okay, good. All these criminal
Yeah.
bankers, you guys are going down for it. And then they said, well,
We can't look back. Wasn't
yeah.
that Obama's, we can't look
need to look
back.
forward.
Look forward. It sounded so positive, this statesman, politician stuff. We need to look forward for the future of this country. Really? Okay, what they steal? $3 trillion from mom and pop, basically.
And everybody in the country just had this collective realization, I think, that this is the way it is.
And how many people went to prison? 0. I don't know how you change it, man. I mean, we're out there swinging day in, day out, going after these companies. We can take their money away. Hell, we've taken a lot of money away from them. But until you throw Uncle Joe in prison and he's asked to wear stripes, and the next cat in MBA school says, Uncle Joe went to prison for 10 years for killing all those people with a dangerous drug. It's going to continue. It's simply cost of doing business.
Yep.
And this Justice Department has been the worst of all of them. All the in the 40 or 50 years it's in that art? It's something like 50 years.
Yeah, it's decades.
Yeah,
decades.
Democrat Senator Joe Manchin might not be running for Senate again, but he doesn't mean he's done with politics. According to a report, the senator from West Virginia has created a new centrist organization that's looking to remake politics, which really just means looking out for corporate interests. Now, it's interesting. You and I have done stories on this organization for how many years? 10 years?
Yeah.
They've been out there
20.
kind of kicking around 10 or 20 years. No labels. Talk about it.
Yeah, no labels, which basically just means we're a corporate front group pretending to be a political party.
Yeah.
And Joe Manchin has always, flirted with no labels. And
Yeah.
right now, he's flirting with them to the point where there is huge speculation he's going to run for president under their banner.
What's he doing? American Together.
Americans Together. That is the dark money group. It's registered to where they don't have to reveal their corporate donors, and it's funneling a ton of money into No Labels. But, technically, Joe Manchin, his name is not on the organization. What it is his daughter, the former pharma CEO, Heather Bresch. And Bresch is the one who, when she took over Mylan, jacked up the prices on all the EpiPens.
Was it 2,000%? I mean,
I was paying $1,200 twice a year for a single EpiPen for my children. And so, to me, whenever I talk about Heather Bresch, it is very personal. Because I lost thousands of dollars every year because of Heather Bresch.
Well, a lot of people did. And the point is just, again, all right, well, he's an important politician. Corporate media barely covered the story. You had to hunt the story. Really, you had to hunt for the story. But the point is, No Labels, just so you understand, and viewers understand, No Labels is just centrist, blue dog Democrats that care nothing more than about how does Wall Street do. That's what it is. And it could be a real deal. People they might not like him all over the country, but the South likes Manchin.
Yeah, they do.
And conservative areas in this country like Manchin. He's very good on his feet. He's a threat.
He really is. And up to about a year ago, he was actually the 5th most popular senator in their home state.
Really? Wow.
So even West Virginia loved him. And it's not because, he did all this stuff for us. It's because he did nothing. Because that's what No Labels is all about.
Doing nothing.
Yeah, it's not about we've got to make the lives of these people better. It's no. We maintain the status quo because the status quo works wonderfully for these corporations.
It's like the last story we just did. Don't prosecute these criminals when they kill people. Because they're dressed up in suits and they have MBAs from Harvard and Yale. That is No Labels, you see. That is the same thing that this Justice Department is doing. They will love Joe Manchin. And I got to tell you something, if he gets out there, this 501c4, they don't understand how dangerous that is. There's no way to even know where the money comes from. I mean, it's just dark, dark money. And it was made possible by Citizens United, of course. And so they raised No Labels raised $20 million in the last year. It's just a lot of money. They're becoming a real entity. And now this might be the first face of a presidential run.
Yeah, and look, right now there is a lot of hunger in this country for a third-party candidate. We see that in the polls. And so if people don't know what No Labels is, obviously the name sounds attractive. Like, hey, I'm sick of Democrats, I'm sick of Republicans. No Labels, well, that just sounds wonderful. But no, the best way I could describe it, in my opinion, would be this is essentially
Republican.
It's a corporate front group, in my opinion. I mean, that's what they do. They act in the interest of corporations. It's not about bringing together the left and the right.
Well, as a matter of fact, corporate America put it together. You understand, the Goldman Sachs folks, those people put all of this together. And it's emerging. I mean, it's going to emerge this time. And truthfully, Joe Biden is an easy takedown.
Well, and especially, you throw suddenly Joe Manchin into the mix. You got Bobby Kennedy, whose polls are really well since he switched to independent. Cornel West. Next year could be just chaos in the presidential race, and maybe we need a little chaos. I don't know.
We do. I think we need that kind of. I love that we have other parties. I wish we had something besides the No Labels party. But if somebody's looking down a voting, I mean, they're at the polls. They're looking down a list. Biden, Trump will be in there, I predict. Then you go below that. Who shows up next? Does Manchin? Oh, I kind of like Manchin. Don't know much about him, but he's got this new party. Bobby Kennedy. I don't know a lot about him, but I do know he's good on the environment. People have that tendency. Because they don't have, I mean, we take it for granted that everybody has as much information as we have. We do this every day. The average American, is very difficult for them to keep up with this. I mean, they got to worry about, they got to go to work. They got to make house payments. They can't keep up with this kind of thing. So it's almost it's a temporal kind of reaction there. You know, this is a third party. Maybe it's time for a shakeup. And Joe Biden is easy pickings in that regard, which brings me to the next story. A new report says that Democrats are panicking about the wrong polls right now. While Biden's poll numbers do look horrible, the truth is that Democrats aren't focusing on what these polls are actually telling them. It's like they're ignoring it again. They forgot what James Carville said during the Clinton years. The economy's stupid. Okay. Now, why don't you lead this off with Biden's turkey speech? Okay. Did the American public buy Biden's Thanksgiving turkey speech?
Unfortunately, no, they did not, because obviously they saw what prices are when they went to the store to buy their turkeys. So, and look, that's what the problem with these polls is. And it's one thing, I learned going through political science school is you don't just look at the number, right? The number is almost the least consequential part of the poll.
That's correct.
You have to look at the attitudes and the opinions and what is being asked and how it is being asked. And that's kind of what this whole story is trying to tell people is Democrats, look, okay, he's unpopular. Yeah, but why? He's unpopular because people have not gotten a tangible benefit from him being president of the United States, a tangible financial benefit. And then, let's
you're going to have people that are going to comment on
They're
that
already
statement.
doing it, right?
They're going crazy. I can't believe you just said that. Well, no, they know, they're tuned in. They know, okay, he did some good stuff here.
Right,
Whether it's infrastructure, whatever it is, he did some good stuff. Great. But the average voter is going to, if you Google the price increases of just food at the grocery store, it's an average of 18 to 20%. So mom and pop, well, they're going to the grocery store, they're seeing cereal increased 80%, grapes, oatmeal, bacon, potatoes, apples, canned soup. That's where the story is. And the Democrats keep trying to act like that's not a problem, and they have this president get up here and make this ridiculous, absolutely outrageous Thanksgiving doesn't cost as much speech. And you go, what in the hell are you doing? Who told you that was a good idea? So I don't know, man. It's like Carville, as weird as he is, he got it right with Bill Clinton. He said, it comes down to what mom and pop are seeing with housing. How much is it costing them to rent a home? How much is it costing them to buy food?
And when you look at it too, like, okay, yeah, we got the infrastructure bill and that's great. So people are sitting at their dining room table saying, hey, we're going to have a new road. That's great. Unfortunately, we can't afford to buy a car to drive on the new road. That's the second part of the story that the Democrats are ignoring here. Yes, the economy looks better on paper than it did 2 or 3 years ago. Absolutely no question. The problem is it's looking better for Wall Street. It's looking better for the people who were already not struggling. But for the average person out there, they look at their paycheck every 2 weeks and they say, this hasn't changed in 3 years.
This story came from Politico. Politico is about as left as you can get, and they're trying to say, look, man, you need to pay attention to this. It's housing, and it's everyday expenses. It's mom and pop going to the grocery store and changing their vote food item by food item. I didn't pay as much for apples last year. Now I'm paying 20% more. And you're seeing these stories where people are working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
And they're saying, hell, we still can't make it. That doesn't bode well for our dear president here.
And listen, before everybody, you probably already made your comments, but let me go ahead and clarify. We're not saying Biden did that, okay?
No.
He did not increase your prices. The problem is the average voter out there doesn't understand that because they're not tuned into politics.
It doesn't make any difference.
Right.
It's Jimmy Carter, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter walked into the same thing. There was no way to turn it around, okay? Go back historically. If you connect these kinds of prices at the grocery store with a presidential run, it always bodes very poorly, not just for the president, but for the controlling political party.
Yep.
And the Democrats, as much as they hate Carville these days, they might want to bring the guy back and give him some advice. It's the economy, stupid. Thanks for joining me, Farron.
Thank you.
That's all for this week, but all of these segments are going to be posted right here on this channel in coming weeks. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel. I'm Mike Papantonio, and this has been America's Lawyer, where every week we tell you stories that corporate media won't tell you because their advertisers don't let them, or their political connections are just so bad or so Democrat or so Republican that they simply can't be critical of that party. We don't have that problem here. Hopefully we'll see you next time.
Over the years, a lot of people have asked us what Mike Papantonio does when he's not practicing law. Well, he stays pretty busy, and here is just a snapshot of everything that Pap is involved in when he's not in the courtroom.